Imagine waking up one day and realizing the memories that make you are slowly slipping away. Names of people you love, places you've been 100 times, moments you swore you'd never forget. Gone. Now imagine being told that this didn't just happen randomly, that it wasn't only genetics or old age, but that for years you were unknowingly exposed to something so common, so normal, that you never once questioned it. Something you probably consumed, breathed in, or lived with every single day. And here's the terrifying part. This poison doesn't come with a skull and crossbones warning label. It's not illegal. It's not rare. In fact, it's everywhere. And neurologists are now sounding the alarm, saying this one silent poison may be one of the biggest contributors to Alzheimer's disease today. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might look at your daily habits in a completely different way. Let me say this clearly before we go deeper. Alzheimer's is a complex disease. There is no single cause, no single trigger, and no single magic cure. Genetics matter, age matters, lifestyle matters. But modern neurology is increasingly pointing toward one massive factor that links all of these together, something that quietly damages the brain over time. And that factor is chronic inflammation of the brain, driven largely by what many neurologists now call the most dangerous poison of modern life. Ultra-processed sugar and refined carbohydrates constantly spiking your blood sugar and insulin levels. Now I know what you might be thinking. Sugar? Really? That's it? We've been talking about sugar for years, but here's what most people don't realize. This isn't about having a dessert once in a while or enjoying a sweet treat. This is about the non-stop daily exposure to hidden sugars and refined carbs that flood the brain with inflammation, slowly damaging neurons, disrupting memory pathways, and accelerating cognitive decline. Some neurologists have even gone so far as to call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because of how closely it's linked to insulin resistance in the brain. Let that sink in for a moment. Your brain relies on glucose for energy, but it also relies on insulin to use that glucose properly. When you constantly overload your system with sugar, soda, sweetened tea, packaged snacks, white bread, pastries, and ultra-processed foods, your body becomes resistant to insulin. And when that happens in the brain, neurons literally begin to starve while surrounded by fuel they can't use. Over time, this leads to oxidative stress, inflammation, and the buildup of toxic proteins like beta-amyloid plaques, which are one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. And the scariest part? This damage doesn't happen overnight. It builds silently for years, even decades, before the first symptom appears. Think about that. By the time memory problems show up, the brain may already be deeply affected. Neurologists have observed that people with consistently high blood sugar levels, even those who are not officially diabetic, have a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's later in life. This means you don't have to be diagnosed with diabetes to be at risk. You just have to live the modern lifestyle most of us are already living. Let me paint a picture that might feel uncomfortably familiar. You wake up and start your day with tea or coffee loaded with sugar. Breakfast is white bread, cereal, or something packaged. Midday snack, a biscuit or sugary drink. Lunch includes refined rice or bread. Another sweet tea in the evening. Dinner is heavy on carbs, and maybe dessert before bed. None of this feels extreme. It feels normal. It feels cultural. It feels harmless. But to your brain, it's like a slow drip of poison. Neurologists explain that chronic high sugar intake doesn't just affect memory. It shrinks the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for learning and forming new memories. Brain imaging studies have shown that people with insulin resistance often have reduced brain volume in key cognitive areas. This isn't fear-mongering. This is what modern brain scans are revealing. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. Sugar doesn't just inflame the brain directly, it also destroys the gut microbiome. And the gut and brain are deeply connected through what's called the gut-brain axis. When your gut bacteria are imbalanced, they send inflammatory signals to the brain. This inflammation crosses the blood-brain barrier and contributes to neurodegeneration. In simple terms, what you eat doesn't just affect your waistline. It affects your thoughts, your memory, and your future self. Many neurologists now believe that Alzheimer's starts in midlife, not old age. The choices you make in your 30s, 40s, and 50s may determine whether your brain stays sharp in your 70s and 80s, and sugar is one of the biggest predictors. Now, let me be very clear here. Sugar is not evil in isolation. The human brain can use glucose efficiently when it's consumed in natural whole food forms, like fruits, vegetables, and complex carbohydrates. The real danger lies in refined sugar and ultra-processed foods. These foods are stripped of fiber, nutrients, and protective compounds. They hit your bloodstream fast, spike insulin hard, and create inflammation that your brain was never designed to handle. Neurologists warn that the modern food environment is completely mismatched with our biology. Our brains evolved in a world of scarcity, not abundance. Today, sugar is cheap, addictive, and aggressively marketed. It hijacks the brain's reward system, lighting up dopamine pathways in the same way addictive substances do. This is why cutting back feels so difficult. It's not a lack of willpower, it's neurochemistry. And this addiction cycle keeps people trapped in habits that slowly erode brain health. Another factor neurologists emphasize is that sugar accelerates oxidative stress. This means it increases free radicals in the brain, damaging neurons and impairing communication between brain cells. Over time, this contributes to brain aging and cognitive decline. When combined with poor sleep, stress, lack of movement, and environmental toxins, the damage multiplies. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed or scared, take a breath. Because here's the empowering part of this conversation. Unlike genetics, unlike age, sugar intake is something you can control. And the brain is far more resilient than we once believed. Neurologists have seen remarkable improvements in cognitive function when people reduce refined sugar, stabilize blood sugar levels, and support brain metabolism. Memory improves, focus improves, mood improves, and long-term risk appears to decrease. This is why many neurologists now recommend diets that emphasize whole foods, healthy fats, fiber, and protein. These foods slow glucose absorption, reduce inflammation, and provide the brain with stable energy. Healthy fats, especially omega-3 fatty acids, are essential building blocks for brain cells. When the brain has the right fuel, it can repair and protect itself more effectively. Another key point neurologists stress is movement. Exercise increases insulin sensitivity in the brain. It improves blood flow, stimulates the growth of new neurons, and reduces inflammation. Even walking regularly can have profound protective effects on brain health. When combined with reduced sugar intake, the benefits multiply. Sleep is another critical factor. Poor sleep worsens insulin resistance and increases brain inflammation. During deep sleep, the brain clears out toxic waste, including beta amyloid. Chronic sugar intake disrupts sleep cycles, creating a vicious loop. Better nutrition supports better sleep, which supports better brain health. Stress also plays a role. Chronic stress raises cortisol levels, which worsen blood sugar control and accelerate brain aging. Neurologists emphasize that managing stress through mindfulness, breathing, prayer, or relaxation is not just about mental peace. It's about protecting your brain. So when neurologists warn about the number one poison, they're not trying to scare you. They're trying to wake people up to a reality we've normalized, a reality where cognitive decline is seen as inevitable, even though many of the drivers are within our influence. Think about it. If there were a chemical in the air that increased Alzheimer's risk, there would be outrage. But when the same risk comes from food that's socially accepted and aggressively promoted, we ignore it. This doesn't mean you have to live a joyless life or never enjoy sweetness again. It means becoming aware, reading labels, reducing sugary drinks, choosing whole foods more often, teaching your brain to run on steady, clean energy instead of constant spikes and crashes. Neurologists often say that brain health is built daily, not saved at the last moment. Every meal is a signal. Every habit is a message to your brain about how long you want it to last and how well you want it to function. And here's something powerful to remember. The brain is not fixed. It adapts. It changes. It responds to how you treat it. Even small changes made consistently can create massive long-term benefits. If this message resonates with you, if it made you pause and think about your own habits, that's a good thing. Awareness is the first step. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Your memories are precious. Your identity is precious. And protecting your brain is one of the most important investments you can make in your future. So the next time you reach for that sugary snack or sweetened drink without thinking, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this feeding my brain or slowly harming it? Because the choices you make today may decide the clarity of your mind tomorrow. If you found this valuable, stay connected. We're going to keep breaking down science-backed ways to protect your health, your brain, and your future. Your brain deserves better. And now you know what neurologists are really warning us about.